All right, Shalom family, and welcome back to the Semitic Jew channel, where scripture, logic, and truth are central to everything that I do and every analysis that I take. In today's video, I do want to respond to a video that was uploaded by Nancy Grace. You all remember Nancy Grace. She's world-renowned, very articulate, and when it comes to no nonsense, she's pretty much like one of those people who is well respected with respect to their analysis in terms of finding out what the heck is wrong with people in this world. So in that regard, she's very respectable. I will say this interview that she is giving is very interesting because the tone that Brandon Tatum is going to have in this interview is very interesting to me. Because if you watch his disposition towards Black Americans juxtaposed to how his disposition is towards European Americans is very different. Now, he is on a professional platform here. He's on someone else's platform, so maybe he's behaving, conducting himself more professionally. So with that being said, I do want to watch this interview with you. So definitely hit that like and subscribe button. Please share this out as well. Nancy is going to put him in the hot seat. And I want you to recall, if you've been following his analysis very quickly, this man, first of all, let me just give a backdrop real quick. If you listen to his interview with Warren and his interview with Tristan, he is affirming them in both of those interviews. He's saying, man, I got your back. I believe that's what he said to Tristan. He also said, man, I wanted to come down here and give these boys a voice because everybody else is speculating them. Even before he rolled out the Netflix series, he said that I got all the evidence. I've concluded it. Look, everything that these people have been saying is an absolute lie. I've finally got the facts. I've, Scooby-Doo this whole investigation. Now I've solved the crime. That's the attitude that he has been presenting since, apparently, according to him, he wants justice for Nolan. But he's called Nolan a potential alcoholic. He said his mom, his dad were a bunch of liars, that they were being manipulated. He even allowed Tristan to ridicule the mother and the father and said that they were intellectually dense and not intelligent enough to think for themselves. And as a consequence, they hired an attorney who is actually manipulating them. So again, if you're out for justice, you wouldn't let someone publicly ridicule a grieving mother and a grieving father. That's just my opinion. But nevertheless, it shows a lack of integrity. So let's see what Nancy Grace has to say. I don't know if I'm going to watch this entire interview, but let's see how this goes. I'm going to start it at the 7-minute and 26 mark. I'll also put the link to this video down in the description.
Us, special guest, Brandon Tatum. You know him well. He's a former police officer with Tucson PD. That's what impresses me. What impresses a lot of other people is he is the star of The Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum, thank you for being with us tonight. Question to you. You interviewed, as we played at the get-go, several of Nolan's friends. Did they show you photos, videos, snaps of that day on Horn Island?
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for having me on. I spoke to 4 of the boys that are originally accused of being involved in Nolan Wells' death. And they did show me a lot of evidence. I want people to be very clear with.
So he spoke to 4 boys. 2 were willing to be interviewed publicly on his platform. That was Warren and Tristan. The other 2 have declined to give a public testimony. Maybe they're camera shy. Who knows? Maybe they've been instructed not to, but we don't know.
This. I spent my career putting people in jail. My career is based on getting justice for people who have been done wrong. I've never been a defense attorney. So me going out and doing this was to find out what happened to Nolan Wells. And in talking to these young men.
Remember that. So he can tell you what his he can say that, right? But we don't know if that's true based on his behavior towards this investigation so far. He may say that himself and may say that, "Oh, I want justice for Nolan." Well, why is everyone looking at your actions and your narratives and the things that you're putting out publicly and concluding the opposite? It's almost like he's not aware. It's like the public is giving you is giving you genuine criticism, healthy criticism, and he's just like, no, you know, I'm not taking it. That's essentially what's happening.
The burden of proof is they're going to have to prove to me. I'm not going to listen to what they say out of their mouth. They're going to have to show me. And in many cases, they showed me videos of Nolan on the island. They showed me videos of the boat when they were getting towed out, which is consistent with, kind of similar to what the phone call was. I mean, they showed me pictures of them with Nolan. They showed me phone records of them calling Nolan's mom and all of the above. So they seemed very consistent. They seemed very genuine. And they also proved to me some of the things that they had told me in the interview that I had with them that I have uploaded on my YouTube channel.
Officer Tatum, are you telling me that they had reception on Horn Island? Because many people are saying, well, the reason that there's nothing on Nolan's phone of that day, like there's no pictures, there's no snaps, there's no text, there's no anything, not because it was deleted, but because he didn't have reception. But you're telling me the other boys did have snaps, photos, videos, and reception?
Yeah, no, Nancy, let me clarify this for you. It wasn't that they uploaded this online. They showed me videos and things that they took from the boat during the outing on 4th of July. I was personally out at Horn Island. I rode out there on a boat, and I didn't have great reception there. And I left my phone in the boat when I got into the water and we were actually going out to do interviews.
Objection. Objection. You've been in court long enough to know you're going to get objections. You said you didn't have great reception, but you did have reception, did you not?
No, there was reception there. It just wasn't great, and it wasn't great enough for people, in my opinion, to upload. You can make a phone call potentially, but you wasn't going to upload data to a social media account. Now, could people take the steps to do it if they're dedicated enough? Yes, but it doesn't appear that would have been a frequent thing.
This man is all over the place. I mean, so you did have reception on Horn Island. You can't have reception on Horn Island. So the idea that someone would not take their phone on the island is absolutely ludicrous. And as I said before, with respect to phones, Warren said, well, it's uncommon for people to have their phone on the island. That's ludicrous. Why? Because there's only two options. Leave your phone on the boat when you're in the water, right? When you're not in the water and you're walking on the island, you can have your phone. You're on land, right? There's just those two options. There's no there's no uh there's no one option. You can have your phone on the island because again, if you have your phone on an island, it would be ludicrous to not think that people don't want to take pictures on this American holiday. Let's just be clear, right? So it's absolutely absurd to assume that oh, it's ludicrous that he couldn't have had his phone on him. That's why we took it with us. What? No, sir.
Given the fact that you probably had one or two bars out there. And I heard evidence of that. Not only did I see evidence of it when I went out there myself personally with my cell phone, when I listened to the CETO call, you could tell that the call dropped out several times. It seemed like they were having trouble at times hearing each other. So it is consistent. And anybody that travel out there that have gone to the 4th of July celebration, they know that the reception is not very great. So the videos that they showed me in call logs were things that were not associated to social media, that they never posted on social media. It was, pictures and videos that they took on their phone.
Okay. Let me refine my question. I take it from your last answer that the answer is yes, you had reception on Horn Island.
Yes, I did have reception on Horn Island.
We just played that SEATOW call. It's 2 words, SEATOW, and it's kind of insurance that people have that are boat goers. And if you have a problem, SEATOW will come and tow you back to the mainland. They said they had a problem. They said they were taking on water. One of your takes is that all the chatter that we're hearing, wake up, Nolan, are you dead, Nolan, wake the F up, Nolan.
All right, so just to be clear, Nancy says that all the chatter that we're hearing, right? So she is affirming what the engineer said. She's affirming what most people are hearing. And apparently, Brandon is not hearing the same thing that other people are hearing, which is why it is very interesting. And it's not illogical to assume that could there be 2 separate audio files out there? We don't know. Could there be an audio file that has this footage on it? And could it have been merged to, a separate audio footage? We live in the era of AI. And again, it's not ludicrous to make that assumption because it could be possible. I have taken, AI is capable of merging 2 videos. AI is capable of merging 2 videos together. Let's just say you cut off one video and you have 10 minutes of it and you decided to record the other half. AI can merge those videos. Make no mistake. So the idea that it's impossible to have two separate audio files and merge them to make them authentic is it's absurd. I'm telling you, it's possible. So, and that's one thing I don't think a lot of people are. I don't think I've heard anybody say that. So I'm just putting that out there for the record.
Could be referring to the battery, the bilge on the boat, that it's all unclear. Regarding the boat being disabled, apparently it was not. Listen.
So first, at 9:56 a.m., the boat leaves the original dock. It arrives at Horn Island at 11:14. So at around 4 o'clock, there is a call to the Coast Guard about the boat. NBC News got a hold of it.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's on board.
Everybody's on board. So does that mean Nolan is on there? Who was on that boat? At 4:31, the boat leaves Horn Island and it is towed.
Yeah, and see, I mentioned that in that last video because remember, you can hear girls in the background. You can hear multiple significant groups in the background. Who was on that boat? Did the photos that Brandon Tatum posted on his social media, on his X account, were those consistent with this event, right? You got the distress call at 4 p.m., our village pump, etc. Then 4:31, it says boat leaves Horn Island according to the GPS.
Approximately 3 miles, and then the tow ends. So after 3 miles, they go back to the original dock, okay? They arrive at 5:44 p.m. So it looks like this is where Horn Island is, and this is where the original dock is that I am referring to. I looked it up, and El Camino Real Road is in Gulf Hills, Mississippi, which is right above Ocean Springs. So I'm wondering if this is the house where they got the phone. Now, the boat travels to Fort Bayou. At 6:06, the boat returns to the original dock. Then, from the original dock, the boat goes back to Fort Bayou, and then they go to the boat launch, and it is put onto the trailer and moved by the vehicle. Did they drop people off at the original dock, travel to Fort Bayou, pick somebody up, and go back to that original dock? And then...
Yeah, because I remember Warren said that and there was a discrepancy in Warren's testimony. He said that he went to sleep at 7, and then he said he got a text message from his stepdad, and then a few seconds later he said that that his stepdad came in his room and woke him up, okay, at around 7, if I'm not mistaken. As a matter of fact, that was either Warren or Trayson. I can't remember. One of the two said that.
From there, why was there an hour and 13-minute time gap? This boat was sinking hours before, and then they're just having it docked for an hour and 13 minutes. You would think they'd want to get that boat out of the water ASAP.
That from the real TikTok detective. The boat wasn't sinking. They told Cito it was sinking. What's the truth? Was it sinking and they repaired it? Did they have a leak and they repaired it and kept on SOP? Brandon Tatum joining us, former cop, now star of The Officer Tatum. Did the young man explain those travels we just identified?
Yeah, 100% they did that. I wish that people on the internet would have had an opportunity, and they can go look at the interview that I did with Warren, but
See, there was none of this in that interview. He said, yeah, they did explain all of those things. They did not explain, Warren did not explain in detail each of those occurrences according to that TikTok video. He did not.
they had an opportunity to actually talk to these young men to get this in perspective, because some people have no idea how boats function and how they work. They explained to me, they took me on a boat and showed me exactly where they went, where they docked, where did they, stop at, how did they get the bilge pump and the water out of the boat and all of the above. So they were sinking, they were taking on water. The water came up high enough that the batteries weren't working. They had to get a tow to kind of tow them out, where you could see the young lady saying about 3 miles out. It's a complicated boat's jargon, but they ended up getting the boat out. They ended up getting it to the point where they could run the boat, run the water out of the boat through a hole in the boat that they ended up plugging. They explained all this. Anybody that does boating know exactly what they're talking about if you hear them explain it on the interview. So they have an explanation for all of these things. And not only that, Nancy, they showed me video of them on the boat, and Nolan was not on the boat. Nolan was not on the boat log. And there are people who saw Nolan on the island closer to around 6 p.m., which is far after they left, far after this phone call was made. I saw text messages from the young lady that Nolan was with, the young lady named Katie. I saw her text messages. In her text messages, she said that she heard the boys yelling for Nolan to get on the boat. He did not. She said in her text message that she did not see Nolan get on the boat he came on, which was Wyatt's boat, which is the boat that was sinking and they ended up leaving on. So it wasn't just a statement that they made on a podcast. They were actually showing me evidence to the contrary of what the mainstream YouTubers and some media outlets are putting out to people at large. And so I wish that people would go watch the interview, or at least take some time to listen to these boys' statements.
I do want to go back a second. I didn't see any Black Americans out there whatsoever.
Saw Nolan on the island
Just from
closer
this
to
video.
around 6 p.m., which is far after they left, far after this phone call was made. I saw text messages from the young lady that Nolan was with.
I see no Negroes, no Israelites whatsoever.
With the young lady named Katie. I saw
What is this? What's happening right here?
her text messages. In her text,
And I mean, they're saying 1,000 people. I mean,
text
crowded.
messages. She said
maybe, but
that she
like
heard the boys yelling for
not an
Nolan to get on the boat. He
overwhelming
did
presence
not.
based on
She
that. Not an overwhelming presence based on this, from what I can tell, and at least in this video.
said in her text message that she did not see Nolan get on the boat he came on, which was Wyatt's boat, which is.
I do see, like, it does like it's a large number of boats, obviously, but just from this image alone, I mean, you know, Nolan not being anywhere in this image, I'm not sure why they're showing this, and why would Nolan go off? I don't know.
The boat that was sinking and they ended up leaving on. So it wasn't just a statement that they made on a podcast. They were actually showing me evidence to the contrary of what the mainstream YouTubers and some media outlets are putting out to people at large. And so I wish that people would go watch the interview or at least take some time to listen to these boys' statement. And I'll say this, Nancy, too. I wish that the family would have taken the time, or at least Benjamin Crump would have taken the time to reach out to the lawyers or reach out to these young boys to get their statements so they're not wasting their time sending everybody on a rabbit trail when they could have just talked to these boys. And they could have, but they refused. Because I saw a message from Warren where he called Nolan's mom twice. I've seen messages from
I don't know if you remember, because I mentioned that too. If you show the call history, you can click on someone's name on an iPhone, and then it'll show you how many times you legitimately called. But I find it interesting that, Warren didn't give him, he showed when he called Nolan's mom, but keep in mind, Nolan's mom's phone number wasn't in his phone. He had to get Nolan's mother's phone number and then to call her. And he did not show the call history for the people he called before her, or the phone calls that occurred before her and the phone calls that occurred after her. But it shows, I believe it shows the time that the 2 times he called her, and then the 1 time that he called the Coast Guard, I believe. But there was also, real quick, there was also I saw recently, there was a video someone did showing that there was a conflict in Warren's testimony where he said that he didn't know the girl who Nolan was with, or who Nolan decided to stay with, and that was a testimony from the police officer that occurred that night when they had reported Nolan Wells missing.
Warren's stepmother, Ashley, where she sent Nolan's mom a text saying, please reach out to me whenever you're ready. I would like to talk. Other parents I saw messages from who reached out to Nolan's mom saying, we need to talk. Can we talk? I'm available if you need to talk to us. I do not understand at this point why Benjamin Crump would go out and put misinformation out online when he had the availability to talk to these kids and clear these things up like I did before he presented this to the public. We also reached out to Benjamin Crump 4 times. And on the 5th time, they come back and tell us that the family is not doing interviews.
And again, Benjamin Crump does not have to interview with a YouTuber. Okay. He does not have to interview with a YouTuber. I did notice he went on TMZ, but why would Ben Crump want to interview with a YouTuber who has publicly ridiculed him, said he can't read, said he is lying, said he was after money, and then also said slanderous things about the people who he is representing? Why would he interview with you? Why would he give you more clicks for your YouTube channel? It just seems counterintuitive.
We didn't ask to talk to the family. We asked to talk to the attorney, Benjamin Crump. Why? So we can come together as a community and solve what happened to Nolan Wells, not create and stoke division which is what
Well,
I've seen
Mr.
from
Tatum,
Benjamin
that
Crump.
is exactly what we're trying to do. And I hear everything you're saying. And, you know, I think like a prosecutor. My main goal is to find the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. And one thing I cannot get away from is the medical examiner. I'm trying to get to tonight's news, which I'm going to get to. But, oh, you were seeing a video from WLOX. Speaking of sinking, is at an alleged issue with the boat bilge. Well, Randy and Bunny on TikTok have their interpretation of that. Watch this.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey,
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
it's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
That from Randy and Bunny on TikTok. Joe Scott Morgan, very quickly before I can get into why the family believes they need subpoenas to social media giants to get the truth about what happened to Nolan's phone. Anybody can say anything after the fact. Those boys may be innocent. They can look like choir boys, angels now, but I still don't know what happened on that boat, and I still see conflicts. Can they be reconciled? I hope so. But until they are, we're on it. This is what I can't get away from. Control room, please show Joseph Scott Morgan the autopsy diagram of the victim's occipital bone. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I do not care if an archangel lands on this anchor desk. If he lies to me, I'm using handcuffs for his wrists and a rope for his wings. You hear me? Look at that again. Put it back up. He has deep reddening subcutaneously on the back of his head. Nowhere else. It's not on his neck. The back of his neck anyway. Don't see it on the back. Don't see it anywhere else on the body. So I really don't want to hear a lame explanation that it's lividity of the blood sinking to the back of the body. Number one, the body was on its face. But that said, they kept the neck and the lungs. Lungs to see if he drowned, neck. Why would they keep his neck? I can't get away from this, Joe Scott Morgan, and I don't care how angelic the friends appear, and they may be angels. I don't know that yet. But you can't get away from this, Morgan.
Yeah, see, I respect her testimony with respect to that because, I mean, for some reason, people in the comment section have been ridiculing me because that is the same position I take, just from a logician standpoint, and as a prosecutor, although I'm not, going for the bar, but it doesn't make any sense just from a logical standpoint to assume or rule everything or anything out, even the testimonies of those young men, to rule them out as being, or to see them as, somehow not having anything to do with Nolan Wells' disappearance. I mean, it's just, you cannot rule it out. Okay. And now she's going to go into details on this right here, but I'm going to stop this video here and then I'll pick it up some other time. Okay. Because I do want to continue with this story. I definitely want to see what other information is out there. And again, justice for Nolan Wells, and continue to pray for his mother and his father at this difficult time. But until next time, scripture, logic, and truth. Shalom.